It's taking your future into your own hands. Interested? Send me your resume. Richard.lane@cumulus.com. That's Richard.lane@cumulus.com. Cumulus is a drug-free workplace and an equal opportunity employer.
News and information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth. KLIF.com.
A Cumulus station.
A confession in Belgium. More allegations against Hastert. I'm Ann Cates. Authorities in Belgium say the so-called man in the hat has admitted his role in last month's terrorist attacks in Brussels. Correspondent Frederick Pleitgen.
The federal prosecutor says, and I quote, "The federal prosecutor's office can now confirm that Mohamed Abrini indeed is the third man present at the Brussels National Airport attacks. After being confronted with the results of the different expert examinations, he confessed his presence at the crime scene."
Former House Speaker Dennis Hastert's attorney has issued an apology today following a new filing by prosecutors that he abused at least 4 former students. Correspondent Nick Valencia.
Hastert has never specifically admitted to any of these sexual molestation cases, only responding a couple of days ago through his attorney, saying Mr. Hastert is deeply sorry and apologizes for his misconduct that occurred decades ago and the resulting harm he caused to others.
His accusers say the abuse occurred in the 1970s and 80s. I'm Ann Cates. Bernie Sanders has been declared the winner of the Democratic caucuses today in Wyoming. Sanders, who is campaigning on Long Island, says his bid for the Democratic nomination is gathering steam.
We were way behind during the first half of this contest, but we are having, to say the least, a very strong second half. And we are closing very fast. And now that Wyoming is behind us, we are here in New York State.
Republican presidential contender Ted Cruz has already been awarded 21 delegates in Colorado and is vying for more today at the state GOP convention. Cruz was the only one of the 3 GOP candidates to address today's gathering in Colorado Springs.
The Democratic field consists of a wild-eyed socialist with ideas that are dangerous for America and the world, and Bernie Sanders.
I'm Ann Cates.
Not all applicants will qualify. Rates and terms subject to change. Texas licensed. Location 700 Central Expressway South, Suite 370, Allen, Texas 75013. NMLS 6606, Equal Housing Lender.
Home values are up. Interest rates are down. This is Rick Arviello, CEO of New American Funding, and I'm here to tell you, with 30-year interest rates and APRs back down into the 3s, this is the perfect time if you need cash out for any reason. A cash out loan from New American Funding may just be the lowest cost cash you'll find. And if you're currently paying a higher rate, you might even find your payment go down after we get you the cash. It happens all the time. Don't wait. A quick 10-minute call is all it'll take. A knowledgeable New American Funding agent is standing by right now. Look, either we can save you money or we can't. Isn't it worth 10 minutes to find out? Call us today.
Call New American Funding today at 800-963-4933. That's 800-963-4933. 800-963-4933. Or visit newamericanfunding.com today.
Every Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., Scott Murray and Dr. Gary Lacefield get together on the radio right here on 570 KLIF and help you tackle life issues in your life. Listen to Scott and the doc as they'll be covering the life issues that affect us all. Dr. Gary Lacefield is the director of Mediation, Arbitration, and Forensic Studies Institute at Tarleton State University. Every Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., listen to Scott and the Doc with radio and television personality Scott Murray and Dr. Gary Lacefield, right here on 570 KLIF.
If you're retired or retiring soon and not happy with your investment strategy or the advice you've been given, you can't afford to miss the next free Money Matters retirement seminar. Reserve your seat now at moneymatters.net. That's moneymatters.net, or call 800-994-0302.
Are you hiring but not sure where to find the best candidates? As a business owner, I can tell you that your company is only as good as the people you hire. I can also tell you that posting your job in one place isn't enough to find quality candidates. But when you're short-staffed, there's no time to deal with the dozens of different job sites. Until now, thanks to ZipRecruiter.com, I can post to 100-plus job sites with one single click and be instantly matched to candidates from over 6 million resumes. Just post once, and within 24 hours, watch your candidates roll into ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use interface. ZipRecruiter has been used by over 400,000 businesses, and you can try it right now for free. Getting the right people for your company is so important. Try ZipRecruiter and get your perfect candidate before they go to somebody else. Today, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/talk. That's ZipRecruiter.com/talk. Again, ZipRecruiter.com/talk.
Tune in to Safe Money Talk Radio, hosted by Kathy DeWitt Dunn, heard every Sunday at 1 p.m. right here on your news and information station, KLIF. It's an hour you can't afford to miss. It's Safe Money Talk Radio. The following program is furnished by Real Estate Talk and is responsible for its content. It's time for Real Estate Talk with host Willie Lambright, the only show in Dallas that covers every subject surrounding real estate, from agents to contractors, mortgage companies to pets care providers. If you own a home or have a goal to buy one, this is the show for you to learn the basics. Let's welcome Willie Lambright and his Real Estate Talk experts.
Welcome to Real Estate Talk this Saturday night, friend. It's a great 2 hours. Real estate changes people's lives to the good. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And this hour is brought to you by our friends at Century 21 Mike Bowman, Inc., the official real estate company for our Dallas Mavericks. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, Willie. It's a great evening.
Yeah, I want to welcome
also.
I am looking forward to. I want to welcome to the studio also our friend Diane Vanderwill. How you doing, dear?
I'm doing terrific.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting show. Before I introduce our guests, I want to make sure that I say to you, Mike Bowman and his crew over there have been around doing business in the Dallas Metroplex for over 45 years. Maybe a little bit longer, Mike, isn't it?
Been a long time.
Been a long time. And you really focus on the technology as we evolve to help real estate agents move real estate. And throughout the course of this show, if you are an agent not getting the right support so you can go out there and make a fortune in real estate, call Diane at 817-328-2306. Again, 817-328-2306. Now, Mike.
Yes.
We're doing an hour of talk radio on hoarding.
Yeah, and you wonder why maybe that relates to real estate, right?
I'm wondering why.
Because it's all about houses.
It's all about houses. That's exactly right. And what happens a lot of times is, people collect stuff and they don't want to get rid of it. And so when we go in maybe to sell their home, we got to be polite and saying, hey, we've got to get some of this out of here. Kind of rearrange it. We talked about staging and all this.
Sure.
But hoarding sometimes is a problem because a lot of times people don't want to get rid of this stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Which means it could affect the sale or it could affect what the property sells for, the amount of, money they're going to get out of it. So we wanted to bring Terry Sutton in, and Terry is Executive Director of Tarrant Area Hoarding Task Force. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, good. And you've been doing this for 2.5 years?
The hoarding part, yes.
Yeah. And what's been your background? Okay, we talked about that a little bit. I was
a pastor for 30 years,
yeah,
and I've counseled and taught college. In fact, I taught senior health in college. And the past 9 years or 8.5 years, I've been working with ServiceMaster, which is a disaster restoration company who's added hoarding resolution as part of their repertoire over the past couple of years. And it's been a great ride, really enjoying it.
Well, what is hoarding exactly? Can you define what hoarding is all about?
Well, if you looked up in Webster's or Funk and Wagner or somewhere, it would be the obsessive desire to collect things, to get as much stuff as you possibly can. And it is, I'll say, it's a compulsion, not an addiction. And so there's always something driving it. It's not physiogenic. There's no pill to get over it, but it's psychogenic. There's something in the emotional, mental, and spiritual realm that's prompting that. And it manifests itself in many different ways. But the main manifestation is people gather stuff way beyond what a normal person would.
Yeah.
Let me. I got to ask you something here, Mike. This is a good show. So, define what a normal person does, right? And so I happen to know a few hoarders, right? And a normal person buys 1 can of Comet. An abnormal person, to me, buys 15 cans, right? Because they got them on discount. Now, my question to you is, how is hoarding hurting people's lives?
I'll tell you this. Let me take collections, for instance. There are 12 to 15 different types of hoarding, and it manifests itself in different ways. One type is collecting. I think Diane and I were talking about this earlier.
Not me.
Collecting.
Family member.
No, not about her, but there's nothing wrong with collecting. That's a normal thing that all of us do. So collecting is not an issue. But when you collect with your family, but when the collection becomes your family, then it's stepped over into another realm. And there are people who are so obsessively driven to collect things and I've been in these houses. They have bookshelves and whatnot cabinets full of whatever they collect. You can't even make your way through the house, and no one else can come in. And so they're collecting for some unknown prompting. They're collecting something that nobody will ever see. And so that's an issue. When what you're doing separates you from your family or your friends, or you quit following normal societal norms like cleaning your home or cleaning yourself, then it's stepped over to a different realm. And there's always something that drives that.
So does this affect any age person?
Yeah. Most people have the misconception that hoarding is a senior malady, and it's not. Because hoarding is what prompts hoarding is an unresolved life trauma. It could be death of a spouse, death of a child, lose your job. They're just your own health, all kind of things drive that. And when a person has that type of life trauma that's unresolved, that can be any age. But the problem is once a person is a senior and they've been following these patterns for years and years and years, by the time they're a senior, it's obvious that there's something going on. And typically the ones with real hoarding issues, because there's a difference between hoarding, which is, take the Great Depression. People didn't have anything, and so they hoarded for survival. They weren't separated from family and friends. They were keeping things that they thought they might need. Now, a portion of those probably stepped over into hoarding disorder, where they were driven to do it, and it separated them from family and friends. But typically, that's a sort of base kind of hoarding. Then you have people who are just cluttered. You know, almost always cluttering is because of immaturity. Children clutter, although some may have a natural disposition to keep things in order, but usually not. So when a person's older and they're cluttered, in some ways it's irresponsible and shows a lack of maturity. But that, again, that's just a typical expression. My wife tells me most males are like that. I'm not sure if that's true or not. But then we have what we call seasonal hoarding. And when people say somebody has one sister and that sister passes away and leaves all of their stuff to the sister, and so all of those things come to that house and they're put in the garage or whatever, and so the person who gets all that from the estate says, "Hey, I'm not sure what to do with this. This is my sister's stuff, and I love her, and these things were important to her." So, their intention about what to do with it. That like for my family, we had 4 children who all came home from college at the same time, and so our garage became a staging area for 4 dorm rooms or apartments. If you looked at my garage then, you would say Terry Sutton has a real hoarding issue. But that was seasonal. It was a temporary thing. But the real issue with hoarding is what's now called hoarding disorder. It is a recognized mental illness. It is now included in the DCM-5, which is the American Psychiatric Association's listing of all known mental disorders. And so it's good and bad. For real estate, it's not so good, because if somebody has a hoarding disorder and they're leasing your property, you can't just remove them for that, because they have a disease.
How do you approach that? I mean, if you're going to list a house and it's cluttered and they got all this, materials and everything else in there, how would you approach that seller to tell them?
It's a very difficult thing, because you and I know that a cluttered house does not sell.
Right.
And so right off the bat, you are driven to see that resolved. They are driven for who knows what reason to sell their home, but they're also compulsed with they're obsessed with these things they have, And for them to think about having to remove all of that in a fail swoop, that's a very difficult thing to do. And there's some skill involved in working through that.
Yeah. A few years back when I was selling some real estate, I run across a seller. In fact, they were actually some friends that we went to church with and hadn't been in their house before. When I got in their house, I saw what the situation was. So basically what I just said, let me pay, and I'll have people come and get this and put it in storage, and then whenever we get the house sold, then we'll move it to wherever you're going to go. And it was okay with them. But
you came up with goal-oriented solution, right?
That's right. Yeah. Exactly.
Guys, I got to go to break. When we come back, more with Mike Bowman, Mr. Terry Sutton. We're talking hoarding this Saturday night. You don't want to miss this. We'll be back in a Willie Skosh.
Are you looking for the best real estate agency in town? Well, how can you tell who's a good agency and who's not? Simple. Look at the numbers. Century 21 Mike Bowman in Grapevine has been the #1 Century 21 office in the world in closed transactions for 15 of the past 21 years. The #1 Century 21 office on earth. That's a good indication. Century 21 Mike Bowman is a full-service brokerage specializing in residential, commercial, relocation, new construction, property management, and foreclosed properties. Learn about what your options are and how much your home is actually worth at Century 21 Mike Bowman. Century 21 Mike Bowman is proud to be the official real estate company of the Dallas Mavericks. Call Century 21 Mike Bowman today and discover the difference for yourself. Call toll-free 800-433-4003, 800-433-4003, or visit C21BOWMAN.com. That's C21Bowman.com. Century 21 Mike Bowman.
Are you looking for a private money lender for your residential real estate investments? Wildcat Lending is a leading private money lender, also known as a hard money lender, who offers real estate financing that avoids the time-consuming process and requirements of conventional lenders. By specializing in real estate loans exceeding conventional lending standards, Wildcat Lending produces custom metrics which make it possible to structure hard money loans around individual financial circumstances. Wildcat Lending specializes in issuing hard money loans, bridge loans, and other private capital loans for a wide variety of residential real estate investment properties. Their corporate office is located in Dallas, and they're proud to serve the great state of Texas. If you need a lender who has the ability to produce fast, reasonable, and secure real estate loans that enable you to close quickly on residential investment properties, Wildcat Lending is a private lender who understands that each client is unique and that timing is everything. Visit wildcatlending.com today to get started. wildcatlending.com.
Are you a home or business owner with damage to your property? Do you live around the Arlington, Mansfield, White Settlement, or Fort Worth areas that were recently hit by hail? Correct General Contracting understands it's never fun for a homeowner to navigate through the insurance claim process. Most homeowners don't even know if they have enough damage for a claim or if it'll meet their deductible. Do you? Let Correct General Contracting work with your adjuster to make sure that you're fully covered. All you have to do is file the claim and they'll do the rest. The stress of getting property damage fixed properly is more than any homeowner should have to handle on their own. Contact Correct General Contracting and let them guide you through the process. If you're not sure if your roof was damaged by the recent hailstorm, you don't have time to waste. Get more information at KORRECT.net. That's KORRECT.net. Or you can request a no-cost inspection today by email. inspect@correct.net. Correct General Contracting, proud supporter of the Wounded Warrior Project.
Now let's get back to Real Estate Talk with your host, Willie Lambright.
Welcome back to Real Estate Talk. Man, if you're just joining us, we're talking, and this may hit a nerve with some of the listeners tonight. We're talking about hoarding and how it affects real estate. Our buddy Terry Sutton, he's the executive director of Tarrant Area Hoarding Task Force. And friend, if you know, you may not need any assistance. You may not be a hoarder. But if you have a friend of a friend or friend or a family member that does, 817-267-5555, 817-267-5555. Now, Terry, what does it cost for you to come in and wave your magic wand?
There's no cost for waving a magic wand.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm a part of the Hoarding Task Force, and we have people who represent entities that are all affected by hoarding, from county to cities to police to code enforcement to MHMR to Mental Health America, legal guardians, just all kind. And the task force is purposed to help people without charge to initiate the help for them. Now, when they actually had to do the cleaning, that's something different, and we have there's other options for them as far as treatment and help, but just consultation and counseling, no charge whatsoever.
Okay.
Hey, my grandmother was a hoarder, okay? And she kept everything. I mean, everything under the sun, newspapers, all this. Well, when she passed away and then my grandfather passed away, the siblings went there and they started throwing things away. Well, they threw things like Babe Ruth baseball cards, Ty Cobb baseball cards. My grandfather was a huge baseball fan, okay? And he was born in the 1900s, early 1900s, or late 1800s, I'm sorry. And so he had kept all these baseball cards and they threw them all away. And I guess she was a hoarder and probably could have made some money on that, right?
You betcha. Well, that's why part of what we offer is not just the hoarding resolution itself, but estate settlement. And it really takes some skill and people with people skills to talk and walk people through the process of deciding what to do with what they have.
Well, and talking about, my parents were both gone and my wife's parents were both gone, and so we got a lot of stuff. And so I just put it in a storage building, instead of putting it at the house. And then eventually whatever the kids wanted, they could have. And then after that, we just kind of, you can give it to Goodwill or whatever, and my wife is not a hoarder, okay? She keeps me in check on that. I probably could be one, but she makes sure that nothing is kept too long, okay?
So let me ask you this, Terry. One of my friends, and maybe now I've learned something from this show, but one man owns over 100 guns. Is that considered hoarding?
Collecting.
It depends. Does he sell them? Does he display them? Does he have any?
He just keeps them.
Has he run his family away because of that?
No.
Does he still have?
No.
That's not an issue. The issue is when a person, because of their patterns, separate themselves from family and friends, and they quit following normal societal norms. And there's always, the hoarding is only a symptom. Something is driving that. And so you can't just look at a situation and say, well, this person is a hoarder under the classical definition, under the hoarding disorder protocols in DCM-5. You can't just say that. But I would say if he has 100 guns, I'd like to buy one.
And the
well,
emotion.
He's a collector, I guess. That's for sure. Well, it is interesting how it affects families, right? Like young people. I mean, if your mother was a hoarder, would you want your friends to come to the house? Doesn't it affect them?
Sure, it does.
Psychologically,
it sure does. I'll tell you this: when and I receive phone calls frequently from Adult Protective Services, from cities, from counselors, from just all manner of directions, from families, and they want us to go. And sometimes the person is not there. They've been taken to a center for evaluation or whatever. They want us to come evaluate the situation, and we never do the hoarding resolution if the person who has the hoarding disorder is available. We never do the hoarding resolution without them, and so there's a lead time to go up to where we can actually start the process. But we evaluate what level it's at, and from 1 to 5. And 1 would be the lowest level of hoarding disorder expressed, and 5 being the highest. And I can tell you that each level has its own characteristics, but one of the characteristics is, at least by level 2, is that if you cannot invite family or friends over to your house, if that is an issue, then that's a red flag that something's going on. And it would take too long to go through all the 5 steps and how we evaluate it. But we give a numerical rating on a person's mental state and they're in the physical state, and then we come up with a numerical equivalent like 23, and we use that to communicate with each other what's going on with these people. And I'll just say it real quickly that where it goes from, if you could use the notion of goes from neurosis to psychosis, you could goes from minor league to major league. Level 3 is where that happens, and almost always the expression of that is that they leave human validation and seek animal validation, and almost always that is the point.
That's level 3.
That's level 3. And
so if you have 5 cats and 2 dogs,
that's not the issue. The issue, but if they become your family and your only validation is with animals by choice, and now some people don't have any family or perhaps friends. They could live someplace where that's not possible. But the people that we deal with, they have great compassion. It's misdirected and it's tempered by this unresolved issue they have. But they won't just have 5 cats, and cats. Now that you mentioned that, cat is the animal of choice, because a cat will come up and rub on your leg and give you a 5-second thrill or validation, and then you can ignore them for the next week, and they'll take care of themselves. It's not good, but they'll take care of themselves.
So this is kind of a security thing then for the person?
Well, everybody wants to have self-worth and validation, and we are made to get that from multiple dimensions. But the main dimension is from other people. And have meaningful relationships. And the problem with these poor people trapped with hoarding disorder is they don't have that. And so they have to seek validation another way, because everybody wants validation. And
isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
So you're part of the counseling team that helps them?
Well, I'll say this. Yes and no. I'm not a certified counselor, although I've done biblical counseling for 40 years. We have just set up through MHMR, MHA of Tarrant County, support groups for people who are affected with hoarding disorder, and that's the person themselves and their family or friends that are affected by it. And in fact, this month is when it starts, and you can reach them. It's MHMR, MHA, Tarrant County, and they can get you set up with the weekly support groups. In Dallas, I also am a part of the Dallas Hoarding Task Force, and they're affiliated with Mental Health America of Greater Dallas, and they've had support groups going for over almost 2 years, I think now. And the city of Dallas is really at the driving force in getting a lot of this done. They're the first ones. They're on the cutting edge of it. Valencia Hooper Anderson, who works for the city of Dallas, has been the one that's driven that. But there's a hoarding task force there, one in Fort Worth. There's also one in Plano that's helping people.
If you're just joining us this Saturday night, a really interesting topic. My buddy Terry Sutton, he's the executive director of Tarrant Area Hoarding and Task Force. Mike Bowman, you always bring great guests in here. Terry will come help you and a loved one in hoarding activities. Don't define it yourself. Let Terry do it. 817-267-5555. 817-267-5555. When we come back, more with Mike Bowman, Terry Sutton about hoarding. You don't want to miss the rest of the show. We'll be back in a Willie Scotia.
Are you looking for the best real estate agency in town? Well, how can you tell who's a good agency and who's not? Simple. Look at the numbers. Century 21 Mike Bowman and Grapevine has been the #1 Century 21 office in the world in closed transactions for 15 of the past 21 years. The #1 Century 21 office on earth. That's a good indication. Century 21 Mike Bowman is a full-service brokerage specializing in residential, commercial, relocation, new construction, property management, and foreclosed properties. Learn about what your options are and how much your home is actually worth at Century 21 Mike Bowman. Century 21 Mike Bowman is proud to be the official real estate company of the Dallas Mavericks. Call Century 21 Mike Bowman today and discover the difference for yourself. Call toll-free 800-433-4003, 800-433-4003, or visit C21BOWMAN.com. That's C21Bowman.com. Century 21 Mike Bowman.
Winston, come here, boy. Come on. Good boy.
We love our pets. They're wonderful animals in our lives. But when they're hurting, you need someone supremely qualified that would treat them with just as much care as you would. Park City's Animal Hospital. Park City's Animal Hospital's mission is to fulfill the needs of both their human clients and the companion animal patients by providing the best possible health care services through a responsive, caring, professional staff with emphasis on superior individual patient attention. With a team of 6 doctors with over 100 years of practicing experience between them, they have an unparalleled commitment to superior care and advanced medicine in the care of their patients. Being a family-owned small business, they understand family and the needs of one of the most important members of your family, your pets.
Come on, Winston. Go get it.
Come experience the Park City's difference. Pride, compassion, acceptance, honesty. That's Park City's Animal Hospital. Call them today, 214-368-8573.
Are you looking for a private money lender for your residential real estate investments? Wildcat Lending is a leading private money lender, also known as a hard money lender, who offers real estate financing that avoids the time-consuming process and requirements of conventional lenders. By specializing in real estate loans exceeding conventional lending standards, Wildcat Lending produces custom metrics which make it possible to structure hard money loans around individual financial circumstances. Wildcat Lending specializes in issuing hard money loans, bridge loans, and other private capital loans for a wide variety of residential real estate investment properties. Their corporate office is located in Dallas, and they're proud to serve the great state of Texas. If you need a lender who has the ability to produce fast, reasonable, and secure real estate loans that enable you to close quickly on residential investment properties, Wildcat Lending is a private lender who understands that each client is unique and that timing is everything. Visit wildcatlending.com today to get started. wildcatlending.com. Now let's get back to Real Estate Talk with your host, Willie Lambright.
Welcome back to Real Estate Talk this Saturday night. We're at the halfway point. This hour is brought to you by Century 21 Mike Bowman, Inc., the official real estate company for our Dallas Mavericks. Now, Terry, this thing of hoarding, I can so relate to what you're saying about people need validation. I've interviewed over 1,000 real estate agents here in this program. And, we as human beings all need to be told that we're good, right? And it's really sad that somebody gets to a point of hoarding, and I don't know all the technical part of it. I'm not an authority on hoarding, right? I figured out through your tutelage just a minute ago, my buddy's got 100 guns, is not a hoarder, right? But, it's really sad that some of these people that we as a society, no matter where we're at, no matter what we do, I say on my program all the time, remember this, you come into the world with nothing and you're going to leave with nothing. And you're truly defined on how you treat your fellow mankind. And I don't want this show, the listener tonight, to even think that we're pointing a finger at anybody, because we are not. We're here to seek clarity. We're here to understand. And at the end of the day, lend a kind helping hand to somebody. Did I say that right?
I think I could have said it better myself.
Hey, Will,
well said.
Well said. Well, would you just validate me?
Do you feel validated?
I feel validated, man.
Words are one way to do it.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to make sure everybody knows your number, 817-267-5555. Mike, I know we got people are holding their hands up in the studio. This is a good show. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to ask Terry, do people who hoard know that they're doing it, or at what level? or are they in self-denial?
That's a great question. And denial is in Africa, but it's active here, as you've heard. People have promptings they don't understand. And these promptings are expressed all these different ways. And if you tell them, if you just come up and say you're a hoarder, that's probably the worst thing you could possibly do. In fact, we have to work very hard not to call the person who's affected with these patterns a hoarder, because then you've just labeled them, and maybe temporary. But I'll say this: we got involved with this through Matt Paxton, who has the Hoarders TV show. It's now on A&E, and he's a friend of mine. And his when he first started working with people trapped in hoarding, he did so with the intent of not just cleaning their homes, but helping them clean their lives. And it would be a lack of integrity for any company to go in and do a job that in 6 months would have to be repeated. And so we never do any hoarding resolution unless we involved a coach, a counselor, a psychologist, or some helper in some way. But hoarding is active all over the country. And you can go to Minnesota or California or New York or Sweet Home, Alabama. You can go anywhere, and people express the same pattern. And they express the same pattern in hoarding because they have the same promptings. It's common to people what they go through. They don't understand it, and nobody's ever been sent to hoarding school to learn how to do it. Yet the patterns are exactly the same. And Matt Paxton talks about it because he goes all over the country doing the shows and meeting people. And no, they don't understand the issues. What they understand is they're being driven by pain. And in fact, the way a person hoards many times is a cry for help. They will hoard in such a way to demonstrate their pain. We all do that. Every person's pain, you will find a way to express that. The way you relate to others, the way you dress, what you do, how your whole life. If you have a point of pain, you're gonna express that in some way. You've heard people say, "Well, he's just an angry person." Well, there's no such thing as just an angry person. Mm-hmm. That person is expressing a deep pain, and or just a person. Well, person is just fearful. No, nobody's just fearful. In fact, fear is not bad. It's good to fear certain things. Don't run in the interstate, for instance, and we're told to fear God. But people who are trapped in fear, where they can't even leave their house. In fact, hoarding, some people say it's like a person building a nest around themselves, and the things that they bring into their home and they fill their home up is actually to insulate them from the people that cause them the pain. And so they're building a shelter around themselves like a rat would do, getting grasses and stuff and cover themselves. And it is an expression of a deep need, and they don't even understand that they have it. And when you try to approach them and tell them that they have an issue, that's the worst thing to do, because these things around them become intrinsic to them. This is part of them. The trash can be meaningful to them because it's either an insulation between themselves and whatever pain there was, or it's a connection between themselves and that event. And it's amazing when you deal with people and you spend enough time helping them, eventually they will let you know what their point of pain is. And then you can address it. That's why the direction that we take in the Hoarding Task Force and the people who are doing this, we want to express to them there's hope for people trapped in hoarding disorder. Mm-hmm. It is not a hopeless situation. But honestly, by the time they get to the 5th level, it is very, very, very serious. By that level, they can't even live in their home because there's too much stuff. They're either living on the front porch or their car. They have no friends. Every human is an enemy to them because it's a police officer or a code enforcement, or their family's long gone by them, or anybody else. These people are there to take away the only safety they know how to have, which is all this stuff around them. So it's a very difficult thing. You try selling a house when somebody is in that kind of a situation, you can't just begin to do that. There's lead time.
I would suspect very few. So when you talk about somebody being at a level 5, and I suspect that's the highest level you can get to, right?
Yes.
And so if somebody's at a level 5, I probably believe the last thing they want to do is list with a real estate agent. I don't see that. But
many people are forced either by, and one of the entities that we work with is code enforcement in all the different cities. And the cities will get involved in this. And there's 3 conditions: safety, health, or accessibility. If those things are askew in a home, even though we all know the castle law, you can do whatever you want to in your home, but some of the cities are becoming much more aggressive in dealing with this because of the health, safety and accessibility.
Well, it could be a fire hazard, especially if you have a lot of paper and all that, it's accumulated over a period of time.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
And just like the situation that happened in Dallas less than 2 years ago, a man lived in a hoarding situation. He was level 5, which means his house was completely full. All he had was little tunnels to go through. And for some reason, he's a very large man, and he was going to crawl back someplace in his house to find something. And when he did, it collapsed on top of him, and he died. And the sad thing about it is that nobody knew it until it was obvious with the smell and all. And the one of the things that drives all of us is these are people who need to be loved and helped. And they are doing things they don't understand because they're being driven by pain they do understand. And it's a very challenging thing. But there is help. But by level 5, you're right. It's very, very, very difficult.
So what level is it that they kind of begin to go towards isolation from everybody?
Well, I'll just say, and we could probably continue this after the break, but the first level, they're apologetic about it. It's not what's happening yet. It's the patterns that are developed. And we can pick that up after the break.
Yeah, I got to go to break here. Very interesting topic. And I'm telling you, for some of our listeners tonight, it's probably hitting home. Our friend Terry Sutton, the Executive Director of Tarrant Area Hoarding Task Force. You can reach out to him at 817-267-5555. Again, 817-267-5555. I'll be back in a Willie Skosh.
Are you looking for the best real estate agency in town? Well, how can you tell who's a good agency and who's not? Simple. Look at the numbers. Century 21 Mike Bowman and Grapevine has been the #1 Century 21 office in the world in closed transactions for 15 of the past 21 years. The #1 Century 21 office on earth. That's a good indication. Century 21 Mike Bowman is a full-service brokerage specializing in residential, commercial, relocation, new construction, property management, and foreclosed properties. Learn about what your options are and how much your home is actually worth at Century 21 Mike Bowman. Century 21 Mike Bowman is proud to be the official real estate company of the Dallas Mavericks. Call Century 21 Mike Bowman today and discover the difference for yourself. Call toll-free 800-433-4003, 800-433-4003, or visit C21BOWMAN.com. That's C21Bowman.com. Century 21 Mike Bowman. Are you a home or business owner with damage to your property? Do you live around the Arlington, Mansfield, White Settlement, or Fort Worth areas that were recently hit by hail? Correct General Contracting understands it's never fun for a homeowner to navigate through the insurance claim process. Most homeowners don't even know if they have enough damage for a claim or if it'll meet their deductible. Do you? Let Correct General Contracting work with your adjuster to make sure that you're fully covered. All you have to do is file the claim and they'll do the rest. The stress of getting property damage fixed properly is more than any homeowner should have to handle on their own. Contact Correct General Contracting and let them guide you through the process. If you're not sure if your roof was damaged by the recent hailstorm, you don't have time to waste. Get more information at KORRECT.net. That's KORRECT.net. Or you can request a no-cost inspection today by email. inspect@correct.net. Correct General Contracting, proud supporter of the Wounded Warrior Project.
Are you looking for a private money lender for your residential real estate investments? Wildcat Lending is a leading private money lender, also known as a hard money lender, who offers real estate financing that avoids the time-consuming process and requirements of conventional lenders. By specializing in real estate loans exceeding conventional lending standards, Wildcat Lending produces custom metrics which make it possible to structure hard money loans around individual financial circumstances. Wildcat Lending specializes in issuing hard money loans, bridge loans, and other private capital loans for a wide variety of residential real estate investment properties. Their corporate office is located in Dallas, and they're proud to serve the great state of Texas. If you need a lender who has the ability to produce fast, reasonable, and secure real estate loans that enable you to close quickly on residential investment properties, Wildcat Lending is a private lender who understands that each client is unique and that timing is everything. Visit wildcatlending.com today to get started. wildcatlending.com.
Welcome back to
Now
our
let's get
final
back to
segment
Real
of
Estate Talk with your host, Willie Lambright.
It's 21
Preceding
Mike
program
Bowman,
was
Inc.
furnished by Real Estate Talk and is responsible for its content.
Are you looking for the best real estate agency in town? Well, how can you tell who's a good agency and who's not? Simple. Look at the numbers. Century 21 Mike Bowman and Grapevine has been the #1 Century 21 office in the world in closed transactions for 15 of the past 21 years. The #1 Century 21 office on earth. That's a good indication. Century 21 Mike Bowman is a full-service brokerage specializing in residential, commercial, relocation, new construction, property management, and foreclosed properties. Learn about what your options are and how much your home is actually worth at Century 21 Mike Bowman. Century 21 Mike Bowman is proud to be the official real estate company of the Dallas Mavericks. Call Century 21 Mike Bowman today and discover the difference for yourself. Call toll-free 800-433-4003, 800-433-4003, or visit C21BOWMAN.com. That's C21Bowman.com. Century 21 Mike Bowman.
Welcome back to our final segment of Real Estate Talk. Man, it's been good information. It's always brought to you by Century 21 Mike Bowman, Inc., the official real estate company for our Dallas Mavericks and also the Texas Legends and Revolution. Their number is 817-328-2306. They sell and buy houses like you read about. Now, Mike is very adamant about giving back to our society, and today he has a really interesting guest in here, Terry Sutton, Executive Director, Tarrant Area Hoarding Task Force. 817-267-5555. Pick up where we left off.
Well, I was saying
level 1, level 2, level 3.
Yeah, well, level 1, because you ask about it, these people are isolated.
Right.
Level 1, they're not.
Right.
The issue in level 1, and by the way, there are different groups that have different levels. This is the one that we use. Level 1 is they are probably their closets are full, and one of the ways you can tell a level 1, if you can, if it's a home and the garage, you cannot put your car in your garage. That may be an indication, and which is not an issue in itself, but if it's expressing a pattern that's ongoing that will regress further and further, it's a good way to look at it. Mm-hmm. These people they're embarrassed by it. They make excuses for it. That's a good sign. If people are embarrassed by it, you can use that, and most people are embarrassed by it unless they have some pain point that's stronger than that, and then they will be embarrassed, but they don't embarrass themselves enough to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. Level 2 is you have the garage and many closets are full now, and they're making excuses. But at level 2, the family is very upset. They said, "Hey, this is a mess. Why don't you pick stuff up?" And again, there's 12 to 15 different kinds of hoarding, and they can be expressed in many different ways, from information hoarding, which is papers and teachers, ministers, and lawyers are typical ones who express this later in life because they're no longer preaching or teaching, so all they have left are their trophies, which are the bulletin boards and the sermons and the documents they use, and they keep all those things, and it piles up. The Another type is collecting. Another type is the shopaholic who they buy things because it gives them a thrill, and because they're out of control inwardly. The only thing they can do is try to control what they can, and they can buy something, and that gives them a sense of control. Long OCD has been associated with hoarding disorder, and because people tend to have a similar expression. In fact, we have the number one authority on hoarding disorder in the country is Dr. Randy O. Frost, who wrote the book Buried in Treasures, and he's going to be featured at a hoarding conference June 3rd at Hearst Convention Center, and it's open to the public. We're offering CEUs for case managers and social workers and licensed counselors and nurses and guardianship. And it's going to be a great thing. That's June 3rd, 8 o'clock. And I'll give you the email, the domains that you can look at in just a minute to get information about that. But at level 2, they're embarrassed, but they're not nearly embarrassed enough. And they're not isolated from family and friends, but it's starting. And what has started in their home is they quit cleaning their homes. When a person quits cleaning their home, and you have animal smells by level 2, because there's always animals. And I will say this, almost always people who are trapped in a regressive hoarding disorder situation are sick. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but I'll just say that there's physical things that are now entering into it. You can't separate the mental, emotional, and the physical anyway. It affects each other. But level 3 is where they're isolated. They're now leaving human validation for animal validation, like I mentioned earlier, and they usually only live in one room at that level, at one point, and they may. Always look when I go into a home to look at. I always look at 2 rooms to know what's going on, and that's the bathroom and the kitchen. If the bathroom is not being used for what it's designed to be used for, if it's completely full, they're using the bathroom somewhere, and you can understand that they have just stepped over a social, hygienic, level that expresses the deep hurts they have inside. That's level 3. Level 4, they can't use anything because all they have left, they have one chair. They usually have a chair, a remote control, a TV, and a cell phone, so they can call QVC or Amazon or whatever. And that's one of the expressions of hoarding is the shopaholic who buys all these things. And then level 5, they can't even live in their home. They live either on the porch or their car, and their home is cave-like. It's just completely full. It's structurally unsound, and it's a house you don't want to sell. And in fact, you ever have that kind of situation, we typically will not even clean that because it's structurally unsound.
So when what level, say if a family is suspicious that they have a relative that's a hoarder, okay, what level do they kind of get involved, and is there counseling for them to help guide them?
The support groups that are offered by MHA of Dallas and by MHA of Tarrant will involve both the families and the person themselves. Mm-hmm. And there's also a support group, as I mentioned, in Plano. And they all use the same resource, which is Dr. Frost's book, Buried in Treasures, and then Dr. Tolan, who's a psychologist who wrote the process to operate the support groups. It's a fabulous book. The book I recommend, along with that one, is Matt Paxton's book, The Secret Lives of Hoarders, because there's always something driving that. And anyway, there's a lot of help out there for people who suspect that they have a family member, or if they themselves feel like that they may have an issue with that. There's help, and there's compassion and understanding and non-judgmental people who will work with them in that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Don't label people, right? Yourself or a family member. It really, what I understand in this hour is it's emotionally driven to where it becomes an illness.
It is by all definitions an illness.
Yeah.
It is a mental illness, but it is an illness. And there's lots of people now involved in this trying to find out how to resolve it and how to work with people who have this issue. But as a person who's been in the ministry for 40 years, because I think everything has a spiritual orientation, and the approach I take is a little bit different than what Dr. Frost would take or somebody else. And in fact, I speak at churches all the time about the spiritual roots of hoarding and how to resolve that. And I would like to think that it's as effective as anything else, but there's help out there for anybody who's affected by hoarding disorder.
Mm-hmm. Mike, great show. I've got a couple of minutes here. The first thing I want to ask is, Terry Sutton, will you come back to Real Estate Talk as a repeat offender?
You bet.
Yeah, and so I got a number 2 question here. We're not, I'm not going to have 5, but I'm going to have 2, right? When is this? Tell me again about this conference that's coming up June the 3rd.
All right, it's an all-day conference at the Hearst Convention Center in the Mid-Cities. Dr. Frost is going to be the only speaker. He's going to speak the whole day. Meals are provided. There is a cost, obviously, involved for this, particularly for those who are seeking to get CEUs. We'll have a whole house full of code enforcement, nurses, social workers, licensed counselors. It'll be a lot of people who are seeking to find information about how to deal with people trapped in hoarding disorder. But the community also is invited. We have a lot of people who are already signing up. And if I can give 2 websites for people to go to. Please. One is the page that we use for the Hoarding Task Force of Fort Worth is through TAGS, which is the Tarrant Area Gerontological Society. And the website is tagstarrant.org. tagstarrant.org. And the main entity who's putting this on along with us is Mental Health America and the Dallas Task Force. And the information is available on mhadallas.org. That stands for Mental Health America. So it's mhadallas.org. And there's also other information about hoarding and the other things that we do as a company at www.restoresmart.com. We have a whole section on hoarding on our website.
Make sure you reach out to Terry Sutton at 817-267-5555. Mike, you did again. I'll see you next Saturday night, same time, same place. Diane, thank you. And I'm going to close this show out by again saying, remember, friend, you come into the world with nothing and you leave with nothing, and you're truly defined not on your materialistic things you gain, but how kind you are to your fellow mankind. Be nice out there. That's a wrap. I'm out. Be up next. We're talking investment real estate. I'm around for 2 more hours. It's great. It's a wrap. We're out.
Are you looking for a private money lender for your residential real estate investments? Wildcat Lending is a leading private money lender, also known as a hard money lender, who offers real estate financing that avoids the time-consuming process and requirements of conventional lenders. By specializing in real estate loans exceeding conventional lending standards, Wildcat Lending produces custom metrics which make it possible to structure hard money loans around individual financial circumstances. Wildcat Lending specializes in issuing hard money loans, bridge loans, and other private capital loans for a wide variety of residential real estate investment properties. Their corporate office is located in Dallas, and they're proud to serve the great state of Texas. If you need a lender who has the ability to produce fast, reasonable, and secure real estate loans that enable you to close quickly on residential investment properties, Wildcat Lending is a private lender who understands that each client is unique and that timing is everything. Visit wildcatlending.com today to get started. wildcatlending.com. The preceding program was furnished by Real Estate Talk and is responsible for its content.
Are you a home or business owner with damage to your property? Do you live around the Arlington, Mansfield, White Settlement, or Fort Worth areas that were recently hit by hail? Correct General Contracting understands it's never fun for a homeowner to navigate through the insurance claim process. Most homeowners don't even know if they have enough damage for a claim or if it'll meet their deductible. Do you? Let Correct General Contracting work with your adjuster to make sure that you're fully covered. All you have to do is file the claim and they'll do the rest. The stress of getting property damage fixed properly is more than any homeowner should have to handle on their own. Contact Correct General Contracting and let them guide you through the process. If you're not sure if your roof was damaged by the recent hailstorm, you don't have time to waste. Get more information at KORRECT.net. That's KORRECT.net. Or you can request a no-cost inspection today by email. inspect@correct.net. Correct General Contracting, proud supporter of the Wounded Warrior Project.
Would you like the security of a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage refi with our lowest payment possible, all without paying closing costs? Well, Cash Call Mortgage has a 30-year rate special starting at a rate so low, our lawyer won't let us say it on the radio. So call and find out how much this 30-year rate will cut your monthly payment while still knocking down your current loan balance. And the best part of all is the rate is fixed. The lawyer's right. It's a little complicated to explain on the radio. So call 855-875-CASH to find out how it works.
What? You'll cut my payment with no fees of any kind, and my balance will still go down?
Yep. Paying an interest rate below 3% really makes a big difference. To find out how big, just call 855-875-CASH. That's 855-875-CASH to slice your monthly payment now.
Impact Mortgage Corp. DBA Cash Call Mortgage. 1 City Boulevard, Orange, California, 92868. Equal housing lender. Call 855-657-9910 for licensing terms and restrictions. NMLS 128231. Offer for first mortgage.
That's 855-875-CASH.
News and information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSE.